Anyway, so, um, been thinking about, I have a kit that I've been thinking about doing. It's a 124 scale, um, it's a K and B kit. There we go. My friend Clem got this for me a couple of years ago. And, I mean, aside from the edge of the box, it's pretty much in perfect condition. Hold on, let me get the monitor going here. Um, yeah, it's pretty much in perfect condition. Um, Unmolested, shall we say. The kit, there we go. It's got the instructions still neatly folded. It's got everything, you know, in one spot, still in the plastic. The decals, which I'm sure are completely perished and garbage at this point. But God, don't they look cool? They're like old. Let's see if I can get that on there. Pretty, yeah. They're really cool. Um, they're, yeah, they're awesome. Um, and I don't know. I kind of don't know. I don't know that I want to use the. I don't know that I want to put this together because it's pristine. It's kind of cool the way it is, like packaging and stuff like that. And I don't know. What are your opinions on that? Should it's cool to have it kind of as a thing, and you know, as a complete thing that's not put together. Really like the old packaging, and I really like. I mean, the instructions are pretty cool. Technical data, technical data for something this old. This is really neat. God knows why they. I mean, I know why they don't do this kind of thing anymore. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to put this kind of thing together. Um, this kind of technical, yeah, motor information. Look at this chart. Like, no one does this kind of thing anymore. Um, they all have this information. All the companies have this kind of information, but no one really does this kind of a technical sheet, and certainly doesn't put it in the box. Um, this is so cool. Yeah, so then there's the instructions, and I don't know. It seems kind of like a shame to build it. Here's all the instructions. There you go. You guys hear me okay? Put it in chat if you can hear me okay, please. I'm watching on my computer. That's why I keep looking over this way. Sorry. um, yeah, it seems a shame to build it, and it seems like a shame to not build it. It's in perfect shape. Like nothing in here. Look at this body. Look at that. It's like a little jewel, isn't it? God, I just don't know about. Okay, cool. Thank you very much. Thanks, Dewan. I appreciate that. Um, yeah, it's like a little jewel. Everything is perfect in there, and just seems a shame to. I don't know. Look at that. Look at the interior. Yeah, save it. Yeah, save it. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you're right. I'm a Porsche fan. Aside from being a Mini Cooper fan, and this thing, it seems like it's cool, kind of as a. It's very tempting, isn't it? No. um, it's very cool to kind of see, like, what was a slot car years ago and what was like the pinnacle of, the hobby in the golden age, the first golden age. Um, Kind of what they did, what the products look like, the packaging. I mean, look at all this. Look at it's a huge box. I mean, I know it's a 124 scale. Hey, Martin. It's 24 scale car, so yes, I mean it's going to be big. But I mean, look at this. It's tremendous packaging, and it's all laid out just beautifully. Look at this stuff. It's like I don't know. It's gorgeous. It really is absolutely gorgeous. The motor here, this motor would just be, it would be slow, but God, it would be so smooth. Just beautiful and smooth. And I think I gotta save this. Here, let me see if I can fiddle with this exposure to make this a little less shitty. Can I do that with this? No, I can't. That sucks. The exposure is going to jump around all because I have all different kinds of lights in here. So, yeah. Anyway. So, yeah, I guess I won't build it. I don't know. It is very tempting. Nothing on the back of the box. How many dollars in Canadian? I honestly don't know. A friend of mine bought this for me a few years ago, and I forget what he told me he paid for it. I think he gave it it was my friend Clem that had COVID. I'm pretty sure he gave it to me. Maybe I don't know what I paid for it. It would be a couple $100 now if I sold it, I'm sure. But it just seems like too perfect a thing. There's the box again for the guys that missed the beginning. I mean, look at this classic box art. You know, this is like a blast from the past. Other kits that they made at the time, that K&B made at the time. There you go. Just like, it's incredible old stuff. That's where the hobby came from. Here's the other end of the box. And here's the parts side of the box to kind of show you. Yeah, exactly. Porn. Totally. Yeah, unfortunately, it's got this little nick in the corner. But look at this. You know, this is just like, this is perfection. By the way, packaging is something that companies spend a lot of time on. And I really would like to see companies do this kind of retro packaging. Museum material. Yeah, exactly. This kind of retro packaging. I think maybe as a hobby we're kind of shortchanging the importance of the history when it comes to maybe, you know, how we're marketing this stuff, or people in the business are marketing. I think there's definitely something to be said for the old style packaging, because let's face it, I mean, you know, new packaging, it's okay, but is it trying to be something that, you know, extra cool, extra, I don't know what, more drawn? Yeah, it would be. I don't know. So anyway, yeah, I just figured I'd start off rambling. I've never done a stream before, and I didn't know if anyone would show up. Saving money. Yeah, true, it is saving money, but I don't know. But is it though? I mean, if you get really good quality box art, it really it can sell the product. You know, it can make it make it much more enticing, much more exciting. I mean, when you think about it, what you're looking at here is really kind of like a comic book. You know, it's like a comic book from a snapshot in time from years ago. And, you know, yes, it would be, I don't know what it would be to commission an artist to do all of this. You know, a couple $100, a couple $1,000, whatever. Airfix still does this. You know, I worked for Hornby. Airfix still does this with their box art for their tanks. Well, for everything really, and that's kind of what they're known for. You know, so it becomes kind of this corporate thing that. And I didn't mean to get off on a tangent about box art. It's kind of nerdy, but you know, there's a lot to be said for beauty like this, for quality like this. That. It's really hard to put your finger on, you know, what value it adds. I think it adds quite a bit. Anyway, yeah, for sure. It's definitely expense, but you know, I think it adds to it. So anyway, yeah, the old '80s kits, totally. Hey Rodney, thanks for showing up. I appreciate everybody showing up, by the way. So if you have anything you want me to talk about, normally it's just, kind of when I do the slot car news stuff, it's obviously just me sitting there talking about whatever we got in the news going on. But if there's anything you want to know, within certain slot car restraints that I can talk about, if there's anything you want to know, just let me know. Well, let's talk a little more about kind of some of the stuff that we had from yesterday. I'm going to look at my computer here and open up my folder with the news in it. The Revo slot cars, the 911 GT1s, they sure look good. And I'm really hoping, I guess I am hoping at some point soon to get one. Uh, it's hard for me. No, I'll talk about the Fox body in a second. Um, it's hard for me to spend so much money on a slot car. I forget what the Revo slot stuff costs. It's over $100, and that's pretty pricey. And I'm not making that kind of money that I really want to spend that kind of money on a slot car. Um, the other car that's coming that I talked about last night, yeah, totally, is the SRC kit, the Toyota LMP1. Um, I really like this. In general, LMPs fall a little flat with me. I really like GT cars personally. Now, this is totally personal preference. Um, I really do like the way they're marketing this kit, the SRC kit. Um, yeah, yeah. Yes, it is cheaper. I like what they're doing with the SRC kit, with the Chrono kit with this car. It's going to be interesting to see when it comes out what this car really looks like. I think it's cool that they're bringing out a car and it's got decals in it. I think that's really awesome. And what else do we have? We have I guess it's the Tolman livery on the Polycar that's coming out. Honestly, I'm not sure when this is coming out. Which I already said in the video. I think it's coming out later this year because this is it's the next decoration on the cars that they've already made, and they've already released, or they will release, two of the decorated gems, they're calling them, which is like a throwback. You guys know. Hey, TNT. Yeah, Mal. Yeah. Yeah, I can talk about pricing a little bit too. Um, so, what else do we have here? Well, so another thing we have the MR slot car, Jaguars, which is pretty interesting. I like the idea of MR doing stuff that hasn't been done before. I think that's excellent. Not necessarily sticking with like the Group C stuff, but going into a different area. Because let's face it, we've had a lot of Group C cars. We've had. When did Slotted start making Group C cars? 2000 ish? 2003, 2004, something like that. We've had years and years and years of Group C cars. So it's cool to see them doing this Jaguar, something that has never been done before. Like I said in the video, I'm not a huge fan of Jag, but I don't know, it's pretty interesting. Um, what did you ask there? Okay, so Fox Body. The Fox Body Mustang was something that I had talked about at a few different companies, actually, when I worked there. When I worked at Carrera, I had been talking with a design director about kind of moving forward what cars we're making moving forward, meaning the years that we were going to be making. So going into different things that haven't ever been made before, moving it into the 80s basically, because as the market gets a little older, you need to kind of adjust what you're making with the market. Okay, I'm rambling again. I know, I'm sorry. So the Fox body was something that I saw was being sold on real car auctions, like not Barris. Yeah, oh God, the auctions that they'd have ran regularly all around the country. And good condition Fox body Mustangs are now becoming quite collectible. The prices on a really good quality, untouched car, they're really high now. So, or well, they're getting high. So yeah, Meekum, thank you very much. Cheers, Brian. Polish Racing Drivers Association in full effect here. So I thought that at some point it would make sense to do cars from the 80s. Well, there's only a few cars from the 80s that really you can do that for the US and Canada, that really have the broadest possible appeal as far as like performance race car kinds of cars. And obviously, I grew up in the 80s. I was a teenager. I'm 51. So I'll talk about that. Basically, I don't know. Where can you get a light bulb for an old Scalextric light bulb in the middle because the light went bad? Yeah, I don't know. They don't make parts like that. I'm sorry. You're going to have to find it online. Smallparts.com. There's plenty of lighting kits you can get to put in cars. So we talked about, kind of moving forward the era that we covered in cars. And we talked about the fact of making 80s cars. So, of course, Mustang and Camaro. Those were the cars that kids in the 80s really wanted, because those were, the cool, fast cars. Now, like something like the GNX, Grand National, I think that makes sense at some point that there be a Grand National done. But the problem is there was only a couple colors of that, black and silver, I think, was made. There was a Buick Regal made that had the Grand National turbo motor in it. Then there was a lot of Japanese cars. That's when Japanese cars really started to get popular. So what you have is, as far as American cars go, you're a little limited. So Fox body, there will be a Fox body made at some point. Yeah, there will be. Will Carrera ever get the variety that like Scalextric, or are they focused on the German market with DTM? So I think Carrera is really trying to maximize, and this is totally a guess. This is kind of based on, when I worked for the company. When I worked there, we were really focusing on getting molds for the U.S., and they had a lot of molds for the U.S. I did a proposal or I did kind of an analysis one year for the guy I was working with at the time there, not the boss I was there with most of the time. Anyway, so from about 2002, 2003, up until about, no, Fly is not doing Fox body Mustangs. Not that I know of. They're going to do a 240Z. That I do know about that. Carrera had done quite a bit of U.S. cars, and they had multiple decorations of each car in the catalog each year, and for some reason they just kind of slowed, making more and more and more stuff for the U.S. market. Our sales here were really good for Carrera, and I don't know. I guess they like to keep the product the product range nice and tight. So I think they only made maybe, well, in the first few years they made nearly 30 U.S. cars in a year, and then over the years they gradually shrank that down to I think the last year I was there, I think they only made something like maybe 4 U.S. cars that year. including a Corvette C7R. So I don't know. Carrera has the molds, and they have the market here. They could make more U.S. stuff, but I think they just like to keep it tight. I'm not really sure why. They could make more. Just by comparison, Scalextric makes maybe somewhere around 50 new cars a year. And when I was there, I was asked to, kind of specify about maybe 10 U.S. cars each year. Each year, I was there for 2 years, basically. So I got to kind of play and decide, about those 10 cars. Me and a few other people. It wasn't just me. There's a few people that get to decide that sort of thing. So Carrera probably should make more cars for the U.S. than they do. But I think Scalextric is perfectly happy to have them not really push that much in the U.S. Scalextric really does a great job here in the U.S. I mean, they make more cars for the U.S. market than pretty much everybody combined. Yeah, Mal, they do. In Australia, New Zealand, they they have their own. Scalextric has their own distributor. In Carrera, they use, or well, they did use. I'm not sure if they're still using them. It's a company called Zimbler, Zimbler, and Jonathan and Joel. They're really good guys. It's a contract company that they worked with, and those so that company, it's an external company. When I worked for Carrera, I worked for the U.S. Warehouse, the U.S. distribution channel. I worked directly for Carrera, but we were, we're part of the company, but we're all based in the U.S. basically. But in New Zealand and Australia, yes, they are moving to Georgia. I don't know why. I think it's probably to be closer to their distribution point because they use a third-party distributor now, which we had talked about when I was there, and it's incredibly expensive to do that. But I think they made the decision that that they can make more money by having essentially no staff and no overhead, and have just a few people run the entire business. Easy question. SCX and Carrera is compatible at the same track. Yes. If you're talking about analog, and you're talking about Carrera track, you can run any brand of analog car, 132 and 124, on Carrera track, Carrera analog track. If you're talking about SCX or Scalextric Spain or Scalextric Sport Track, their current track, you can only run, you should only really run Scalextric, slot it maybe depending on the depth of the guide. The problem is the guide on Carrera is really large, and even the 85, what is it, 85209, 85309, the red guide that comes in the back of the Carrera box, the analog, the Evolution cars come with a red guide. That guide will work to an extent on some it'll work on some of the Scalextric track pieces, not on all of them. Like the R1 curve doesn't really work very well, so the guide's going to go through the slot, and the guide's going to kind of grab because the width of the slot is not constant, basically. So a Carrera guide, which is thicker, deeper, and longer than the Scalextric guide, is going to kind of jam. Somebody asked me, oh yeah, Raymond Molina. Hey Raymond. So I got this from BlipShift. BlipShift is hey Ron. BlipShift is blipshift.com is a company that makes shirts. I've talked about this shirt before, and the t-shirts that I wear, I like car shirts. Blipshift.com is a company that makes t-shirts. The designs change every day pretty much, and you can get all kinds of different car designs, motorcycles. It's basically motorsports or car themed shirts, and they change every day. So it's pretty cool. I really like them. What else we got here? Would be nice if Carrera made some of the same 124 and 132. Yeah. Making different scales of cars. 124 scale is a lot more popular in Germany than it is in the U.S. They sell a lot more in Germany, 124 scale cars. So if they were to make more of the same cars in 124 that they make in 132, they would have to sell, primarily in Germany. That wouldn't really work for a lot of the cars they make. Certainly none of the American stuff, the North American stuff. I'm trying to include my Canadian friends because I love you. You can't really sell American anything in Germany. I had visited a company or a store actually I visited several stores in Nuremberg when I'd go there for Toy Fair. And hey Charles, good morning. Cheers. Let me take a drink here. Sorry. You can't really sell a lot of volume of American stuff in Germany. If you try, it fails. Years ago when I visited a store, they had a bunch of the Can-Am cars, which was Can-Am, Canadian American. Yeah, hey Mel. Yeah, early morning, yeah. They had a bunch of Can-Am cars, Canadian American series, on the shelf along with, what were they? 57 Chevys. They had 57 Chevys also there, and they were on drastic discount. In Germany at the time, yeah, I like their DTMs too. They're great cars. At the time, we made a lot of American cars when I worked at Carrera, and when I was visiting there for Toy Fair, we were selling cars here in the U.S. I think the retail on the cars was $39. In Germany, the retail on the car was like €60 for an Evolution car, and they had them marked down to like €25 just to get rid of them because. And I asked them in German. I speak a little bit of German. I asked the shop owner, "Why are all these cars so cheap?" And he was looking at and I didn't even realize they were just the American cars that were so cheap. And he said, "Well, it's the American stuff. We don't know what any of this stuff is." So, hey, Steve, good morning. So yeah, making the same cars in 124 scale, like I said, it's got to be the German stuff, and that's really what I think they focused on. Now, obviously, for 124 scale, I mean. So they have, modern GT stuff, which is American cars, some American cars. But, they got to keep it. They got to be careful about what they make because, the stuff just won't sell in Germany, unfortunately. Take another drink here. Sorry. Capris. Yes, again, German car. Those Capris were raced in, was that Group 5 or Inter Series or something like that? European. They weren't ever, as far as I know, they weren't ever raced here. It's just coffee. It's coffee. If I could show you, actually I can show you. It's my phone. Coffee. Nothing adult here at, what is this? 10:30 in the a.m. Oh, the background is so messy. It's awful. Yeah. And the lighting is terrible. I'm sorry, folks. I need to get a mic that'll work with this. So it's just kind of a grab-ass morning stream because I didn't know if anyone would show up. Thanks. I appreciate that, Raymond. Thank you very much. So, no, Bailey's. Very, yeah, it's not a bad idea. What else we have here? Um, modify the guide. Someone suggests to run my Scalextric. Brian. Hey, Brian. Good to see you. Thanks for showing up. My Sport and Red Carrera guide works fine. Yep. Even through my R1 turn. Fantastic. The track is 10 years old, so maybe slots have opened up a bit. Yeah, I mean, it's possible. Like I said, there's no, you know, there's no guarantees with any of this stuff. The problem with the problem is, and I even talked with the guy that designed that guide himself. It's the guy that did all the Carrera design. And so he and I talked specifically a lot about the red guide, about the special guide before it was only red and in evolution cars. And the problem is not Canadian whiskey. The problem is that the guide slot in Scalextric, hold on, see if I have a piece here. Pro streamer alert. Turns his back on people. Yep. So here's an R1 turn, right? So the problem is, if this isn't really, ooh, and that's glaring. Woo, sorry. If this isn't like laying perfectly flat, this, you see how it can buckle like this? And it can bend like that. That's the problem with soft plastic track. Now, you say, well, Dave, what the hell are you doing here? No one, you know, you put track on the table, dumbass, and it's going to lay flat, right? Well, yeah, but it's going to buckle a little bit, especially over time. And if when you snap the track together, if the track is kind of pushed, it's going to pinch a little tiny bit. Now, I'm not saying this happens all the time. It's what people kind of read in a little too much to, you know, when you talk about something like this, they say, well, it doesn't happen all the time. No, it doesn't happen all the time. It might not happen with your track. And that's fantastic if it doesn't. But what can happen is over time, the track kind of, it moves a little bit and it settles depending on the surface that it's on. And it's certainly in the R1 curve. I mean, it barely fits as it is if the Scalextric track, now we're talking about, for those that just joined, the Carrera special guide, the red guide, it really barely fits on the R1 curve. So you can't count on it. That's the problem. It's not 100%. It isn't. So that's part of the problem with soft plastic track, with a track that doesn't have like a liner, because you can see in the track, and everybody knows this that has Scalextric track, there's just a rail. Yeah, more flex heat gun, exactly. There's just a rail pressed into the slot, and that can be slightly uneven with how it's pressed in. Most of it isn't. Most of it's just fine. So it really depends, and the tolerances with that guide fitting through this track piece are so tight that you just can't count on it. That's the point. You can with hard plastic track. Hold on. Hard plastic track. Yes, I am pro streamer. With hard plastic track like Polycar or Carrera, yeah, I don't have any out here because I'm not doing anything with Carrera these days, of course. What you have here is you have a liner. Not only is the track not really going to bend because, well, it's hard, but you got this liner, this lining wall, you can see it there, in between or inside of the slot. That makes the slot. You don't have that on Scalextric, and what you end up getting is, you know, you have a much narrower slot. I mean, you can even see it in this video here. This crappy low quality phone video. You can even see how much deeper the Polycar slot is. So a big deep guide, I mean, we all know this. A big deep guide is going to help you keep in the slot, right? We all know this. So if you have a, you know, a track system like Carrera, like Polycar, with a deep guide, and a deep slot rather, and lined deep slot hard plastic track, you know, it's the most consistent track surface to race on because it's much less likely to bend and warp over time. I mean, soft plastic track, anybody out there with soft plastic track that says that it hasn't warped hasn't had it long enough. I'm not just talking about Scalextric, all soft plastic track. Good morning to everybody. Thank you, 50 people. Holy shit. I'm shocked to watch this old man ramble about nothing. About nothing and everything at the same time. Yeah, Scalextric doesn't warp. Okay. Or SCX, I mean. All soft plastic track does. It has nothing to do with the brand. It's, you know, everyone makes good track. It's all what you want to buy. There's, like, I've said this consistently on, you know, other, on message boards, and people get a little too wound up about, you know, which track is best. If you're thinking about getting into the hobby, thanks, Gearhead. I appreciate that, man. If you're looking at getting into the hobby, you really can't go wrong. You know, I would love, you know, you can feel assured that you buy any track system, and there's going to be good points and bad points. Hello, Antoine. Bonjour. Yeah, every brand has something good. Every brand has something bad. And it's basically buy the system that you like the cars from the most. If you're, you know, really into US cars, buy a Scalextric set. You can't go wrong. You shouldn't think that you've made the wrong choice. If you want, yes. Footprint is definitely, and I've talked about this in one or two of my videos, footprint is definitely a concern, but you really don't need to, I mean, if you don't have much room, then yeah, you need to go something like, I would go with Polycar. First of all, I would go with Polycar over pretty much everything. I really like Scalextric. Good morning. Exactly. Buy what you like. That's what it boils down to. If you have a space concern, the only one I would rule out... Hey, Mikey. The only one I would rule out, the only track system I would rule out if you have a space concern is Carrera. That's the only one. If you're really concerned about space, don't buy Carrera. Just don't. All the other brands... Yep, Carrera's very large. All the other brands are much narrower. Polycar is a little bit narrower than Carrera, but their standard turn is quite a bit narrower, or quite a bit tighter than Carrera's. So the result is you get a wider surface to race on, but their tightest turn is tighter than the standard Carrera. Hey, Barry. The tightest turn on Carrera isn't really very tight. And that's a problem. I wish it were a little tighter. So, you know, if space is a concern, I would go with SCX if you can get it and you like that track. I would go with Scalextric It's good stuff. I like the Surface. Um, yeah, Antoine, I agree. They're all worth it. They really are. I mean, it's you can argue that you like something better on one than the other, but they're all worth it. None of them are not worth it. None of them are bad. None of them are crap. It's just what you personally like and what you really kind of gravitate towards. Like for me, the Polycar stuff, because it's hard plastic track and because it fits in a smaller space and because like the pieces fit together so nicely. And I like to support Maurizio. Maurizio owns Polycar brand and Slot It. And I like to support the people. Arton, yeah, Arton's not bad track. I mean, I've seen a lot of it. It's still being made, but it made by a company. The molds I think were bought by a company called Dragon Eye, and they're making that track now as like what's called what the British call a house brand or own brand. Actually, that's what they call it, own brand track. So if you can approach Dragon Eye, I think it's Dragon Eye and not New Bright. These are all brands that you never really hear about, but it's like, if you wanted to make a Scalextric Digital, SCX Digital, sorry. Yeah, it's good stuff. So Arton is still available. It's being made by this other company. I think it's Dragon Eye. And then, like, if Walmart approaches them and says, hey, we want to make a slot car track, which Walmart does, they make a battery op track. It's probably made by a third-party company, and then sold under Walmart's own brand. Pretty much every slot car company has been approached by big box stores and asked, can we make slot car track but make it under our own name, like Target, for example. Target wouldn't make it under Target brand; they would make it under I don't know what. But the major Chinese companies have all approached the big box stores have all approached the major manufacturers to make their own brand of stuff, and most of them won't do it. Like Scalextric, Carrera, they won't do it. Like to upgrade to Polycar from Charles from Skelly. Yeah, definitely that's a price. I mean, it's a commitment. Once you get into a brand, it makes more sense just to stay with that brand because you lose an awful lot of money if you change brands, and I don't think that's a really great thing to do. I'm into camera gear. I'm a photographer professionally. That's my full-time job again. I'm doing video and photo. And when you change brands within any kind of system, within any kind of hobby, you end up losing an awful lot of money. So, in slot cars, when you talk about a slot car system, you end up losing an awful lot of money if you are trying to sell a bunch of used track. You never get back. It's almost pennies on the dollar that you end up making back used what you paid for it new. So it's best to kind of make a decision and stick with it, as far as I'm concerned. And that's why, I always emphasize to people, just what I already mentioned. Don't really, switch brands and don't worry about what you buy because none of it's bad. You really can't go wrong, and you shouldn't think of it as, oh, I made the wrong choice. No, you made the choice, and that's fine. You'll get plenty of enjoyment, plenty of play out of any brand of slot car track, and it's all good stuff. And if you want to, modify it in some way, like with a different power supply or a different controller, you can. If you can't do it, someone can help you online. Not me. I'm not electrically able. I'm handicapped in that way. So there's definitely help out there to modify track, meaning replace standard power supply with aftermarket power supply and controllers and things like that. Once you do that, you really upgrade a track system, any track system, drastically over standard controllers, which, standard controllers they're meant to be cheap. They're not meant to be fantastic. So whatever. Mikey, I'm hoping to pick up a Polycar track. I'm hoping more different radius. Any idea if that's going to happen? Well, so they already have the ability, Mikey, to or Mickey, sorry, Mickey, Mikey. Anyway, pro streamer. They already have the ability, I think, to go what 8 lanes. Here, let's go to the Polycar page, polycar.it. I'm on my computer. That's why it's so bright. Holy crap, is that ever bright? Okay, so we're going to go to track. I really should have a screen capture. So, what do we got here in Polycar land? We have, oh, and it takes a minute to build the page here. Yes. R1, 2, 3, and 4. So that means 2 lanes per R, right? Radius 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's 8 lanes. How many more lanes do you need? You want 10 lanes? So they have, you know, as much track diversity pieces. No, that's no problem, man. It's confusing, and if you don't look at this stuff constantly, and I can only keep a few things in my mind, like I will forget most of the rest of the world because I can only squeeze like slot car stuff in my brain. So like, and even that, it's kind of questionable, frankly. I forget a lot. So, I need to, you know, I reference the stuff myself all the time before I start talking about this. That's why I went to the website, which is right here. There you go. Look at that. Look at this desk. Oh my God. Oh, desk. I'm not showing the desk. Anyway, yeah. So, Polycar, there's a lot there, already. The track it's excellent, tooling. It fits together very nicely. It's very high grip, which I think, personally, I think high grip is very important. So yeah, I mean, it's great stuff. And I'll be honest, you know, I've been given a lot of this stuff, right? I've worked for companies. I've got samples of stuff. I have a wood track of my own. Be nice if they offered larger sets instead of the tiny sets. Okay, so yes, they do offer one set. Slot car on the brain. Yeah, same problem, exactly. They do offer one set. So you can buy that set and add on to it. No problem, Charles. Thank you for showing up, man. I really appreciate it. I mean, I really appreciate it, guys. I didn't know if anyone would show up, frankly. If you start with a Polycar set, which is what I would suggest if you want to get Polycar, first of all, the Polycar set is cheap, right? The retail price on it, I forget what it is, 150, 160 bucks. That's not a lot of money. You get a good value. I've talked about this in the before. Just the controller alone. Yeah, the pandemic, exactly. Just the controller, the power supply alone is a really great value-added part of the track system, right? Because you can adjust the power amount directly on the power supply. That's a fantastic idea. So, you know, why not? You know, it's a great value. So, you know, you're talking about, you know, you wish they had more different track sizes. Buy a set, and then if you really like the track, buy a second set. That's the most economical way to add on to an existing set. It just is, and that's with any system, guys. Yeah, that's what I would suggest. If you're thinking about Polycar or any system, buy the set. You know, in this case, Polycar's obviously only got one set, so that's limiting, of course. But you're buying a really great track system. So do you have to wear a mask when you race by yourself? No. And I'm fully vaccinated. Not like that means anything. Really because you can still carry. But no, you don't have to wear a mask if you're by yourself. Dr. Dave says it's okay. Mal asks, can you get Scalextric style controllers for Carrera Digital instead of the annoying thumb trigger? Absolutely. So I did a video about this, Mal. DigitalRacingSolutions.com has their Ramjet controller, and it's a wired controller, right? So I would buy that controller. They have they sent me one of their prototypes years ago. I don't think it's here. I forget where I put it. Now it's probably in my. It's in. I have a new rack thing here, a new storage thing where I have my samples and things like that I can grab easily. Yeah, definitely very pro. I'm looking at my computer here after the fact. Oh boy. They have wire. Oh, there you go. Yeah, see, I really prefer wired controllers. I'm a little more old school in that way. But in any case, you really can't go wrong. Digital. Yeah. After wireless. Okay, yeah. No worries. A lot of people are. I really prefer wired. I like the good connection. I like the... Hey, thanks to Fingers. I really appreciate it, man. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Really means a lot. I really like the good connection you get with wired. I really don't mind the limitation of standing in a spot most of the time to race, because you obviously with wired, you only get so much of a space you can race in. So yeah, it is a lot more limiting. I like the connection. I think it's cool to have that kind of connection. Clear. Yeah, I definitely need to. Boy, you should see my garage. Holy shit, that's a goddamn mess. Yeah. There's a little bit of a delay, Steven. Yeah. Anyway, so just one more. Raymond. I have an old Scalextric. I want to expand it to today's track. Will today's track plug into it? Yes. There are, you have the old Scalextric with it's kind of like the round, kind of a knob connector at each end, and to get to go to sport, right? Yes, there are adapters that you can get to go from Scalextric Classic, which was also SCX original, to go to the current track connection piece. They're not. I don't think they're terribly hard to find. I don't have one. I know they do make them, absolutely, or they have made them. Scalextric has, and SCX has. So yes, absolutely, those track pieces are out there, and yeah, just look for one of those. Any other questions? Oh yeah, wireless. Yeah, a lot of people like wireless. I used the Carrera wireless when I worked for Carrera to do some demo events. Normally, when I'd be out on out doing an event, I would only have wired controllers hooked up to the track, not wireless, because you don't want a kid walking away with a controller, or controllers, kind of being put down and going everywhere. So, okay, Barry asks, is there any latency delay with wireless controllers? When PCMRC came out, the top 1/8 drivers could detect a delay. Good question, Barry. There isn't really much of a delay, no. It's very minimal. I'm sure there is a little bit of one, but it's manageable, basically. With digital and with wireless, really, personally, I think the issue isn't necessarily a latency issue. It's just that you're always in traffic, and it's really hard to get, as far as I'm concerned anyway, to get the most out of a digital racing experience. And it's a very different thing from analog, right? Analog, in theory, you always have most of the lane clear in front of you, right? With digital, you nearly never do. There's usually something in front of you. So it's not really what you asked, but so yeah, Crit Keeper, I probably will. I have the time, and I realize that it's a good way to interact. I've never done this before, as you can probably tell from all the coughing and sputtering and terrible light, and it's my phone, so. Hey, Rebellion. Oh, Rebellion, are you the guy that I play tanks with? Want more slot live streams? You are, because you called me slot. Hey, Reb. Hey, man. Yeah, it's, for me, it's not really, it is me, of course it is you nerd. For digital, I think the latency is manageable. I think it's definitely there. I don't want to say it's not there. Hey, Ray. Morning. Yep, World of Tanks, Steven. Yep, I play World of Tanks. I've actually played it a lot since 2012. Holy crap, that's 9 years, right? Doing math on stream, that's a bad idea. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, so the latency is definitely manageable. It's definitely there. I don't want to say it's not. The feel of the Carrera analog controllers, the plunger controller, what are they? The 2.4 gig wireless plus controllers. They're really good. Don't need another addiction. Yeah, Steven, it totally is too. I played a lot of World of Tanks. It's just about my main hobby. I don't have a track up here at my house, so armor library. Yeah, I don't really have a lot of books. I do have some tank models that I built. Hey, Clint, appreciate it. Thanks for showing up, man. Really appreciate you showing up. I really appreciate everybody showing up. I didn't think anyone would show up. I don't know. So, yeah. So, yes, there's a little bit of latency. I wouldn't really worry about it. The sensitivity on the controllers is actually really good. For the Carrera ones, I mean. The wireless controllers. I really like them. You get used to the thumb plunger controller. A lot of people really don't like it. Yeah, whatever. It's what you get used to and what you like. It's not bad. It's just different. They're standard controllers. I mean, standard controllers are kind of garbagey to begin with. Everyone's standard controllers, not anyone in particular. They're meant to be cheap. They're not meant to be great. So, what else we got? Okay, Brian asks, I'm running a 35 ohm Professor motor basic controller. Like to get a little more sensitivity. Would dropping to a 25 ohm be better than a Professor motor controller? I love why the live stream. I don't know. I figured I'd try it. I had the time. I'm watching F1. Hopefully this doesn't get me DMCA'd. I'm watching F1 here as I'm talking to you folks. I'm not really watching it. I got it on my iPad for Quali this morning, and I've never streamed before, and I figured, what the hell, I'd try it. So getting a replacement controller. If you're running, a fixed ohm controller. Oh, 6 hours of spas on now. Shit, I should be watching that, shouldn't I? I would go with a Professor motor controller. Dude, how could you... Don't start, Reb. Don't start. I would go with a Professor motor controller over a fixed ohm controller. There's just slightly more adjustability on it. I've never really liked fixed ohm controllers because if you get a... I agree, Steven. They are way better. Absolutely. It's absolutely a great first upgrade. And if you're somewhere around, 35 ohms, higher than that, you get a little more mushy feel. So it doesn't react quite as quickly. So the lower you go in the resistance, the ohm number, the more snap you get when you give it throttle. And it feels a lot more touchy, basically, which you guys probably already know. With the Professor motor controller, you can adjust that a little bit more, which is why, and so that way you can use it with different cars, because like a Scalextric car and a slotted car or an NSR, they have very different types of motors. So a Professor motor controller is going to be able to control those different cars better than than just a standard fixed ohm controller, right? That's kind of my thought. Running 45. Yeah, 45 is probably pretty good. And that's, for most people, I visited a lot of clubs where they would have fixed controllers actually on the track, connected to the track permanently. And when you go and you race, that's what you used, was their controller that's on the track. Now, I really don't like that because I like to have my own controller. But whatever, when you go to a club, you race, whatever they race, I don't give a shit. Yeah, so like I said, I would definitely go with a Professor motor controller as a good start, just rather than getting deeper in with something that's a lot more expensive that you're not really sure you're going to like. You got to figure out what you like first before you buy like the more high-end stuff. So, that's really, I would be concerned with buying something. Got a back scratcher here. Yes, pardon me while I scratch. Live streams, they're fun. I would definitely go with the Professor motor controller to start. What's the price on them? I don't know. What is the price? Motor controller. Looking on Google here. $35 used on eBay. $55 used on eBay. Not a lot of money. That's worth buying. I have one. I have a Professor motor controller. That was the first aftermarket controller I got. Good controller. You really can't go wrong. It's coffee. Coffee, Ray, coffee. It's morning. Oh, it's almost time for lunch. Almost time for lunch. A chunky man, we live for lunch. Anyway, what else we got here? Herald track. It's awesome track. It's sectional. I think it's like CNC track, right? It looks fantastic. Didn't take me for a coffee. Oh, bro. God. You're bad at what? You're bad at life, man. How did you think I am not a coffee person, Reb? Jesus. Not Irish whiskey. Not Irish whiskey. Although I do have some scotch upstairs. I should have put that in there. No, anyway. Herald track. It's good stuff. I think it's I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it personally. I've seen it online. My concern is that it's it's going to be more expensive than sectional plastic track. And if you kind of commit to certain pieces of it, it's more of a commitment because of the expense, right? And if you don't like the piece that you got, bad at what? You're right. No, I'm just pulling your pulling your leg, Reb. It's if you commit to buy certain pieces, that and you don't like that track piece, it's an expensive commitment. I think it's absolutely worth it. It looks like beautiful stuff. What kind of stories would we get? I don't know, man. Maybe we'll do more of these and we'll do a drinking stream. All right, Mal. Cheers, man. I really do thank you for stopping by. Yeah, and all the comments you usually make, and it really means a lot. I mean, no bullshit, guys. It really does mean a lot that, frankly, anybody showed up. When do you expect a Scaley or a Carrera to be a C8? Okay, C8s. When was Slat tanked up? Yeah, one more. Yes, I've been tanked up playing World of Tanks quite a bit. Not just tanked up in the tank sense. C8s. Fourth quarter. Usually molds, new molds, when new molds are made, it takes about a year usually to get the mold right, get the cut the steel. The production takes the production really only takes a day to make, and then package and get over to here, get over to Europe from China to the west coast of the U.S. It's about 3 weeks from China, from a consolidation point in mainland or Hong Kong, and then to Germany, or to Europe rather. It would take about 6 weeks, I think, via a container. But a new mold, almost always you're looking at a full year. So if something is announced like in January for that year for a slot car company, that's going to be made later in the year, later that year, probably the fourth quarter of that year, just so they have the time to work out by the time something is announced, the licensing is done, which takes a few weeks to a few months to get all the licensing issues worked out between the companies. You have to get the shapes approved. You have to get the colors approved. Yeah, probably Christmas. Yeah. I mean, I would say, it's totally a guess. I don't ask my former coworkers questions like this, because I really don't want to put them on the spot. I don't want to have them say, because they really shouldn't be answering me, because I don't work with any of them anymore. Hey Raymond, thank you very much. So I don't ask them, because I don't want to make them feel like they have to answer me, or I don't want to put them in a position where they have to say no, they can't answer me, which I understand. I mean, it's not, my place to really ask that. If they will tell me, then great. Also, a lot of times when you're projecting out that far, it's really hard to get an answer sometimes about really when something will be made, right? So a lot of things come into play when you make a slot car. It's not as simple as, okay, it's going to be made on this day, it's going to be this color, and it's going to get boxed up and shipped out. And, other things happen. Shipping delays happen. That's a big issue. Now in China, there's a big lack of containers, evidently, and raw materials are an issue now there. So it's hard. And also chips, too. Microchips are evidently in short supply in China, which is why real cars, there's a delay on real car inventory because there's issues with getting component parts for cars, basically. And that trickles down to slot cars, of course, because there's electronics in every car. Um, so yeah, it's definitely going to be fourth quarter. I wouldn't expect any brand new car to be anything other than fourth quarter. And when you see something announced, a brand new mold for a company, like this coming January when we see new announcements made. Um, if you see a new announcement, a new car announced, just assume that it's going to be fourth quarter. Just assume that, right? Yeah, no problem, Clint. Thanks for stopping by. I really appreciate it. Um, so, what's the new muscle car on your list for production? You mean on my own personal list of cars to make? Um, so I do have cars that I want to get made. I don't. Yeah, a lot of people have pre-ordered the Batmobile. Um, that was a car that I had tried to get made with Carrera forever. I had tried to get made with Scalextric, and we talked about it, and they liked the idea, and we went we discussed the idea of doing the Batmobile. There were three of us that were discussing it directly. It wasn't my decision. I'm not going to take credit for that. That's very presumptuous. But I fully got behind the idea, and I'm sure they're going to sell like wildfire here. They haven't been brought into the U.S. Not really sure why. But anyway, yeah, it's what cars would I like to see get made? I would like to see more American cars get made. I'm hesitant to really talk about my list because my ideas get taken. I've had this happen with a few people, with one or two fairly recently. I gave someone an idea and I was expecting them to work on it with them, and they took it and put it into production and sold it, and not so much as a thank you or a sample or whatever. So I'm going to keep my list of cars that I would like to see get made to myself, except for I would like to see a Fox Body Mustang get made. Absolutely, I've talked about that many times. I think we dearly need that made. I would like to see more focus on the 80s in general. I would like to see more, more cars from the 80s. Japanese cars, I think, have been woefully underrepresented in the hobby, and I think people, would, because guys my age, guys in their late 40s, early 50s, Japanese cars were really popular in the 70s, especially, and then into the 80s. They got more popular, and there were plenty of sporty Japanese cars that could be done, specifically the 240, the Datsun, Nissans, some Toyotas. There were some cool stuff that, Celicas and things like that. Mitsubishi Starion, Dodge Conquest. Lots of stuff. Initial D, Fast and Furious. Yeah, some stuff like that. You lost your battle and bought a Skyline. Fantastic. I have the Initial D stuff. Actually, hold on. The Initial D collection, such as it is a diecast that I bought years ago. This, I think, is a 1/30th scale. Well, it doesn't matter. It's it's the Trueno. How do you say that? Yeah. Anyway, whatever. Then the HPI Skyline. I love this thing. It's not a great slot car. It's an absolutely gorgeous body. The wrapper is, yeah, the 886. The wrapper is perished on it. This was a sample sent to a friend of mine who is a distributor, and she got a bunch of Skylines. This is years and years and years ago. Probably, Jesus, 2012, 2013. I don't even know. Is it saying on it when this was made? It probably has to. No, but this is a gorgeous car. I really wish I knew where these molds were, the HPI molds. No, this is 32nd scale, man. This is 32nd scale. And then the initial D Carrera car, the AE86. This is a beautiful car. I spent money on this, and it was right before I got hired. Please live stream again. I will, man. I will. It seems like people are showing up, so yeah, absolutely. I really love this car. I'm glad I spent the money on it when I did. It was right before I got hired at my job, and we really didn't have a lot of money at the time. And I think I paid about $100 for the car. My wife was like, "What are you doing? Why are you buying yet another slot car? You have hundreds of slot cars. Why are you doing that?" And I'm like, "Because this car is one of my favorite TV, movie, whatever cars." So I had to buy it. And I'm very glad I bought it. So Japanese cars. We demand more slot live streams. Yeah, man. I should probably figure out how to stream from my computer. And yes, tofu delivery, exactly. And stream Watt maybe. Although I don't know if people would watch me play Watt. That would be a truly gruesome sight. Yeah, Rusty, it's a great car. All right. Oh, you just got the blue Skyline? Yeah, it looks really beautiful. I'm trying to be careful about what I buy, because I really do have a lot of more views than Pro Tinker. Brian's a good guy. Brian's a good guy. I don't want to. Mike, make the well, Raymond. Yeah, I appreciate it, Raymond. But I'm not making cars these days. I'm just encouraging people, my friends, to make them who actually still work for companies. Yes, that Batmobile would be cool. There's a lot of cool TV and movie cars that I think you will see get made over the next few years. I think that's going to be a trend. Let's just say that. I think the hobby is kind of maturing, and what's available is going to kind of broaden. So the products there's going to be more TV and movie cars, and I think that's fantastic. More kind of toy stuff for kids, because we need a new generation in the hobby. Mature. Refuse. No, you will mature. You have no choice. Resistance, sir, is futile. Hello, imperialist. Uh-oh. Hey, Kenneth, Starsky and Hutch Torino. Okay, funny story about Eduardo. Thank you very much for showing up. The Starsky and Hutch Torino. Everyone get ready. If you got some adult beverage, you're gonna need to take a drink. There are no more Torinos that will be made by Scalextric, because that mold is gone. The mold was trashed years ago. It was sold for scrap, along with a lot of other molds that were even fairly recent molds. The company decided, for whatever reason, they've had a lot of changes at the top at Scalextric over the last couple of years. So they decide, one outgoing person or one CEO thought, well, why do we have all these molds just sitting around here? Let's sell them for scrap. Let's get rid of them, because, thinking, oh, we're never going to use these again, so let's trash them, right? Well, Holy shit, why would you do that? So they trashed them. So there's a lot of fairly recent cars that people think. How old is the mold? I don't know. How old was it? 10 years? So yeah, there were a lot of molds that were gotten rid of. Yes, it's terrible. It's really unfortunate for us. Ron, any chance there is a CNC program for it out there? Oh, you mean like the yeah, I agree, Dexter. Thanks for stopping by, Dexter. I really appreciate it. So you mean like the original CAD files? I don't know. I doubt it. I doubt those still exist. But you never know. I mean, someone could make them. Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, you could cut a new mold. I mean, the problem is molds are expensive, and how many cars are you going to get from a mold? That's really always the problem, right? Is when you make a mold, how many liveries can you get out of it? Well, if you're talking about a Porsche 911, you can make tons of cars. If you're talking about a Buick Grand National, you can make a GNX and you can make a Grand National. Both were black, right? You can make a Buick Regal. It was silver with the GNX motor or the Grand National motor. That's it, right? So, you can't really amortize that mold out. That's the issue. You're not going to make thousands and thousands and thousands of Torinos now because they already made the Starsky and Hutch one. They already made the most popular one. They made the Le Mans car. I remember at the time that car really didn't sell all that well. What were they thinking? They were thinking they were done with the mold. That's what they were thinking. Um, yeah, no, I agree, Ron, about the DeLorean, about the Back to the Future car. That's what I was surprised when they decided they were going to make it. Um, there are 3 movie cars that they can make. The first release of the car was wildly popular, so they made a lot of those cars and sold them really well. And let me just plug my phone in here so it's got some power to it. Hopefully that doesn't screw everything up. If it does, I'll be back. Okay, it's okay. Good. So, uh, yes, there are only a few DeLoreans that they can make. They can make 3 movie DeLoreans, and then the DeLorean was made obviously as a plain street car in the brushed stainless. There was a gold one that they made, that DeLorean made. There was, I think I've seen a red one, and I think I've seen a black one because I did some research about this. Um, that's what happens when Dave leaves. No, it has nothing to do with me. Um, but anyway, um, what else? Steven asks, what was the marketing idea behind Polycar modern F1s painted as like throwback cars? Yes, I know DeLoreans are still being made. We were approached by the company that makes DeLorean, that makes the that has the DeLorean licensing. We were approached years ago in at Toy Fair to make DeLoreans. This is when I worked for Carrera, and we talked about it, and the project never really went anywhere. That's when I was with Carrera years ago. That was about 2015, I'd say, at Toy Fair in New York. So Ron asks, the Polycar, the idea behind Polycar, doing the monoposto. Yeah, I have mine here that the wing isn't on it, but I've done a faux kind of a throwback, and I don't know where the wing is. I don't know. It's on my desk here. The mess is real. Is that focusing? Not really. Anyway, there it is. they wanted to do a generic modern F1 car. Let's take a step back. Doing Formula One, current Formula One, is a money loser because you can only get a few years out of a mold before you can only maybe get two liveries out of one mold, maybe 2 years worth of liveries before the body drastically changes for the formula in Formula One, right? We all know this. So if you're making a modern F1 car and they change the nose radically, they raise the nose, put the front splitter way down like they did for years, so that the point of the nose, like this point of the nose was really high, and then the tray in the front was really low, and then there were like the walrus tusks that stuck down, and that was kind of the formula. Well, or then the dorsal, going from one year to another, whether the back of the car has a dorsal or not. When you make a modern F1 car that's so specific and you're trying to chase the current thing, you just end up losing money basically because you can only sell so many each year of the correct body, right? So why did Polycar do this? Polycar and other companies decided to do generic Formula One cars, generic open wheel cars, because they don't have to change the latest thing then. Yeah, thanks, Antoine. I really appreciate you showing up. No problem. Thanks for stopping by. It means a lot. It really does, guys. So they decided to... Hello. Guten Morgen. How you doing? Yeah, so they decided to do kind of a generic open wheel car, so they can have a modern body if they wanted to do more modern cars, and then for racing, they make all these different colors. Like this one was the red car that I just put some decals on because I'm really shit at painting, like properly shit at painting. So, the idea of making a standard car to really amortize that mold out, to really get a lot of run out of one mold, and then putting the throwback liveries on the cars, because you always kind of get this feeling that cars from the past were more, they're like idealized, I guess I'd say. So, why not put throwback liveries of really popular liveries onto modern cars? It's an interesting idea. I fully back this idea. Not like it matters. I mean, I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great idea to put old liveries on a modern car because, like, the shape of the modern cars, like I said in my last video, the last news video, the shape of modern cars, it's okay. But it's not like, I got some really old stuff here. Well, it's like the cars aren't that old. So like this old Cooper from Scalextric, this is a really cool body. I like this better than modern cars. That's just me. Some people might not, and I get that. That's fine. Okay, so the wing on these cars, I see Eduardo just asked about that. The wing doesn't get broken off. It just pops off. There's a clip that comes with the car that just snaps. It just snaps. It just there we go. It just snaps in. And they also have magnets that you can put in there. I think it's a CN10 magnets, I think. And they just snap right. It just snaps on the front end. And then so it'll fall off rather than break. I think it's a great idea. It's one of the best ideas, frankly, that I've seen in a long time. A lot of companies approach this differently. But, I really like older cars. Here's another. It's a shark nose. I just bought fairly recently from... and, God, is this thing... Oh, no! I got dust in my coffee. Oh, shit. I am definitely a pro streamer. Yeah. Beautiful old cars. Beautiful old cars. So someone asked about licensing. Licensing is a shitstorm, basically. Um, there's no hard and fast way to answer about, what licensing issues you'll have. Basically, I think, and I don't really know too much about what Maurizio's had to go through or other companies. If you would put a modern livery or an old livery on a modern shape, I mean, there's no licensing for the shape of this car. That's the good thing about this also, is there's no licensing on the shape because it's generic, right? It's not an anything. It's not a Ferrari, it's not a McLaren. I mean, it may be close, but it's not. On older decorations, you may have to go. They have to be careful about whether a company is going to come after you for licensing. Like in the business, people know of certain companies that really will go after you, are very aggressive. Like Golf is very aggressive, for example, about going after companies. Jägermeister is very aggressive. Red Bull is more aggressive than aggressive. They're like, you put out a car, immediate cease and desist shows up in your inbox, basically. So you have to be very careful about what you, if you're going to do modern liveries or older liveries. In Europe, also the laws are different. So you can do, liveries there that you can't really do here without worrying about licensing. So that's cool. But then when you import it, that's where the licensing issue comes into play, is when you import something into the US and our laws are different than they are in Europe, then that's where you get into the problem. Because if you're in Europe, they're not going to come after you because there's been a number of lawsuits that have been filed, like specifically by Ferrari, about cars. That's why companies, all the slot car companies are European based, and that's why a lot of them do unlicensed Ferraris, right? Because in Europe there's been a lawsuit that was won. I think it was Tricks, Car Sonic. No, not the tobacco stuff. Any license, Golf, Jägermeister, that sort of thing. Yes, Ron, you would think they would care about it being free advertising. They don't. This is something that years ago companies Cartronic, exactly. Thank you very much. Yes, our German friend knows about this because it was settled in Germany basically. So Cartronic had made some car, and yeah, it's corporate greed, I know, but it's their intellectual property. I mean, they make a brand. Hey Mark, appreciate it. Yeah, I figured I'd try. I'm shocked how many people showed up and are staying around to hear this old. Hey Paolo from Myanmar, holy shit. Thank you very much, Paolo Sabaidi. I'm surprised so many people showed up and are staying. Yeah, they don't think about it as free advertising. It's their intellectual property. So, if you make something and you brand something, then you think of it as yours, right? Like if someone were to sell, like I've been doing Slot Car News as a brand myself since 2006 when I first started my blog, which I still own. I just don't really post there anymore. Mick Brown posts there, and it's kind of like commercial track racing that he covers there. It's still my blog, slotcarnews.blogspot.com is the blog that I started in 2006. And so, if I, like I have a little bit of merch that I have available, like coffee cups and t-shirts and things like that. And if someone else started selling Slot Car News stuff, I mean, it would piss me off because, they're not Slot Car News. I am. Why are they selling my stuff, right? And that's what the companies think. you know, like the Aston flag over my head here. This was a knockoff that I bought from eBay, right? So, you know, I didn't buy it from Aston. Yeah, Dexter, I plan on doing this regularly. I mean, it seems like people are watching. So, and holy shit, I've been streaming for an hour and a half now. Good God. Yeah, I appreciate people. I really do. I know I've said it before. I'm repeating myself. I'm old. Thank you very much. I'm Dave. I'm 51. Tip your waitress. I'll be here all week. Yeah, so licensing makes no sense. And the more you're involved in the hobby and see licensing get worked out between like a slot car company and a real company, the less it really makes sense. Okay, Crit Keeper, do you think anyone would make modern NASCAR slot car? No. So well, yes, someone will make it. Probably HO. Is young in slot cars? Yes, it is. You're right, Mickey. Mikey. Will someone do modern NASCAR? Probably at some point. The issue is when we had done it for Carrera, we made, first of all, NASCAR only wants to promote the current stuff, right? So they don't care at all about throwback stuff. They just don't. I've talked with NASCAR, their licensing folks enough. I think there's still the 2 that I had talked with before, actually the 3 that I had talked with, you know, when I was there, you know, 2 years ago. We had talked with NASCAR when I was at Scalextric. And where am I, Eduardo? Buenos Aires. Good morning. Yeah, good morning. You're in the same time zone. I live in Pennsylvania. I was born in New York City. So, what was I talking about? NASCAR, of course. We had talked with them, and they were more interested in us making the current stuff, and we were concerned about, you know, not being able to make enough money with sales, and NASCAR really wants you to make a lot of a field, like a very complete field of cars. So if you talk to anybody that makes diecast, or that sells diecast rather, diecast NASCAR, and I've talked to quite a few people. I stopped at a diecast shop near where was that? Bristol in Tennessee. A massive diecast shop right along a highway. The guy sells literally millions of dollars of diecast a year, and he had thousands of diecasts in the shop. Beautiful shop, just diecast though. And I asked him about sales volume for each. So like the main, you know, the main racer. Sorry. The main racer. Hey, Jordy. The most popular driver in NASCAR, right? So whoever that might happen to be. I think it's Bill Elliott's grandson now, right? So the drop off between the top race driver to the second and then the third most popular driver is like it cuts in half each time you go down the number of sales. So the top driver or drivers are very popular, right? But then like by the time you get down to the 5th place guy, which isn't really that far, right? Because if you want to make a field of cars, you can't really, you got to make more than like 2, right? Because who's going to buy, you know, 6 Dale Jr. cars or 6 Chase Elliott cars or, yeah, exactly. So, exactly. So, like how many of those cars can you sell? Well, you can sell a lot of the first one and probably a good number of the second one. But by the time you start selling the 4th or the 5th or the 6th one of one driver, the sales are bad, right? So you got to make other cars to race with it, right? Then the problem is, you know, once you go down a lot, it really drops quite a bit how many cars you're going to sell. It really does. And NASCAR has their fees are a little high, but not, not bad. It's not really much of a money issue. It's a combination of money that it does cost with the amount of money that you'll make, with the amount of time that it takes to get approvals. So that kind of thing is getting approvals is time consuming and costly because NASCAR has to approve it, the team has to approve it, the driver has to approve it, and then the major sponsor has to approve it, and then sometimes the contingency sponsors. So there's 5 different kinds of approvals you have to do, so it's tough, right? It's difficult to get all those approvals, and it's time consuming. So there's a lot of issues with making modern NASCAR. That's the shortest version. Slotblog.de. You know the NASCAR series in 124 scale based on the Sakatsu chassis and Revell monogram bodies? I do not. I'm assuming this is a Germany thing. I don't look at a lot of German Facebook pages or websites. So, sorry. I don't. What else we got? Yeah, licensing. Oh, Clint. My collection. I do have a lot of cars. I have probably less cars than you'd think. I sold. I get a lot of samples, especially when you work for a company. You can get whatever samples you want. I mean, I put tens of thousands of pictures online over the years, over 12, 13, 14 years, whatever. Even when I was freelancing and consulting for people. So yeah, I mean, I've gotten a lot of samples, and then when I do demos, and like we used to call it the trash when I worked at Carrera, the stuff that was returned, I would go through the returns and pick out cars that were still usable and track that was still usable, and I would take it and use it for demos, that sort of thing. And yeah, so I've had a lot of cars. I've recently, well, about 3 years ago, I sold most of the Carrera cars that I had. I don't know how many I sold. Hundreds. I don't know how many cars I have now. A few hundred, not thousands. I've given a lot away over the years. Like when I would do an event, I would have a box of cars that I would take. I still actually have them. I had a box of cars that I would take, and if there'd be like a kid that would show up and they'd say, "Oh, we have a slot car set," and I'd ask them, what kind of set they have, and I would give them a car because I would get a lot of samples for the event that I would do, right? So Carrera cars really don't break very, very often when you're doing demos, so I'd give a lot away. I've given away hundreds and hundreds of cars. You visit a club and you take them a pile of stuff, stickers and hats and pens and cars. And I've given, I don't know, thousands of cars away. I don't know, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's good. It's really great for business. It's cheap for them. It's, cost of doing business, whatever. Hey, Scott. I'm thinking that's Mr. Kazokas. Again, thank you everybody for showing up. Thanks for 48 of you sticking around for, good God, 104 minutes. Holy shit. Anyway, Dexter. Just upgraded to Scalextric Digital. Bought an Arc Pro digital crossover tracks. Oh, thank you very much, Dexter. Bought a couple of cars based on my review. Thank you. There's a lot of good cars out there, and you really, you really can't go wrong. I mean, there are better choices for hobbyists than others, and no one makes bad stuff. You know, even like the cheapest. Uh, do I have any Carrera CUDA sets for sale? No, I don't have any CUDA sets. I still do have. I have all of the CUDAs. Here, I'll try to show you. Forgive me if this isn't quite aimed right. So I have the CUDAs here. Here, I'll wait until it shows up on my screen. Can you see them? Yeah, there you can see them. So I have all the samples. The samples. The top two, the Gurney and the Savage car, are prototypes of the cars that we did years ago. They're non-functional cars. They're also not. They're errors because they just threw them together. So they're silver wheels, and the wheels should have been white. There's no motor in them. There's no tail lights, and the strips. There's no strips. Let me adjust that slightly. There's no strips in the car for power. The other CUDAs, the colored ones, black, white, orange, purple, and pink, are functional ones that I bought from Rich, from the guy that I made them with. And I was able to buy sets to resell, and that was how I made some money for doing the project with him. Because I worked for months to get the CUDA made, so I got to buy some, and then included in that were a black and a white. Yeah. So anyway, great cars. I love them, and I'm hoping you'll see more. No, I don't have any sets for sale though. I sold all the cars. I have a buddy that I kept I think it's an orange one or a purple. I think I kept a purple one for a friend of mine. Um, yeah. Anyway, what else? Anybody have any questions? Anybody have any questions? I really do appreciate folks showing up. And if I do this again, I'm going to try to adjust my lights because the light is. Hey Neil or Chris, I appreciate it. Yeah, I really need to adjust the lights because the lighting is kind of trash. San Diego. Oh yeah, no problem, Dexter. I really appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by. Has anyone made a rental set? Like 6 cars, identical. Oh, like track rental? Yeah, I mean, wasn't it you that made? No, it's not the same camera. This is my phone. I'm just doing this on my iPhone. I use a GoPro to stream, and or not to do my videos with, and then I have the lighting adjusted just right. I stream back here, and you can see. Yep, there it is. Anyway, you can see. I have the light adjusted right, and watching what I'm doing here. A few seconds later, it's kind of gruesome, frankly. But yeah, so any insight into this year's releases? Yes, I've been covering them, pretty much every week on my news, and I did a video of page by page of Scalextric, page by page on Polycar, page by page on the slotted releases. I don't think I have a a guy in Ohio used to. I don't. So I've done some kind of previews. Yeah, I mean all that information kind of early in the year. I did that. So that's, kind of available. And then as news comes out, that's why I do slot car news. So yeah. Video of my collection. The problem is, Paolo, my collection is kind of spread around, right? It's, I have, like some cars over here, which are like, there's just like stuff everywhere. Because this is a car that I actually race at my club. This is a aero body NASCAR that I did with SCX. I designed it. This is a Slotburger Home Racing World car that we did for Harry years ago. Bonjour, Patrick. Bonjour. Thanks for stopping by. I really appreciate it. Yeah, so I have cars kind of like everywhere. I have hey, you have a Slotburger. This is a fly body that I got hanging around for some reason. I don't know why. I kind of like it. That's probably why. 143rd scale SCX CUDA, brand new, that I took out. I think I just did this for a photo with the bigger 48 car. I got a couple SCX ones. Think about the Carrera exclusive sound system. You mean those cars they made years ago on the base with the little button with the sound thing? That's something they only did for like a couple of years and then stopped. It wasn't really very popular. Didn't really go over very well, so they stopped making them way before I was at the company. I was there starting in 2010, and that was like a 2008, 2006, 2007, something like that. They stopped making them. Yeah, so would be nice if companies did it, though. Would be one cheap livery so kids sound. Oh, you talking about sound, like proportional sound for cars? Yeah, like car sounds. Yes. Car sounds. That's been talked about. A lot of companies have talked about that and never done it because it gets monotonous, right? So they're, the great sound effects, right? Engine revving sounds get monotonous very quickly. So companies have tested that, and it got on people's nerves pretty quickly. So Wasp did it. It sucked. Fair enough. I mean, the problem is you need something good. Like, you need at least like a Bluetooth speaker, right? Because this speaker has got good magnets in it. It's got a pretty high quality speaker. It's Bluetooth, so it connects wirelessly. It's aftermarket. What I would like to see companies do is make kind of an aftermarket system that you'd be able to plug into or connect. Yes, Fly did a Porsche with a speaker built into it, but of course, when you put a speaker into a light car, the car is going to get really heavy. Hey, Greg, thanks for stopping by. Mr. Flippant, I appreciate it. So it's not a great idea to put that kind of weight in a car. I think it's frankly a terrible idea. So I think the best idea, personally, is to have the system connect to a Bluetooth speaker. Years ago, SCX did a city-themed track with gray track and with borders that were street sides of street, like a curb, like you'd have on the side of the street. They're excellent. I managed to get a whole set of them, and unfortunately, I've kind of lost some pieces. But it was gray track. It looked really good, and the curb looked really cool. I'll get them maybe for the next video I do. And they had a speaker that you could plug into a phone at that time. It was just like this was years ago. This was like 2007, probably 2008. And it was like a gantry that went over the track, and there was a speaker inside, and there was a wire that went down, and you plug it into your phone so you could play music. I think it was a fantastic idea. But the quality of the speaker is very limiting. When you get a speaker size that small, it's only going to be able to reproduce a certain range of sounds. Like I was into car stereo stuff when I was younger, wasted a lot of money on that, and it's really limiting when the rumble of a sound is very low, like well below 120 hertz. So to get that really guttural rumble of a sound that you feel, those waves are really long, right? The bass wave, the sound wave is really long. To produce that sound wave, it takes a very big speaker, and it takes a very big magnet on the speaker to essentially pump that air to make that bass wave, to make that sound wave. So it's not a big enough speaker. It just isn't. But if you had a system where you could plug that system into stereo, like stereo speakers, like a sound bar or something like that, I think it's a great idea. I think it's a cool idea. And I think that needs to be investigated, absolutely. And I think that's where a lot of the new systems where you have like an app connected to the system, that's you would need a 100-watt subwoofer, but you would need a certain size of subwoofer. You know, you couldn't do it with an 8. You'd have to do it with a 10 or a 12 at least. So you really need a very big speaker to do that with. It's not just the wattage that a speaker can handle. It's the size of the speaker, because you got to move that air. That's really what makes the bass wave. And those waves, the sound wave is very big. It's very long, and it can be disruptive. As you all know, you can feel bass waves, right? So you really need to have a big speaker to push that sound out, to push that car sound, that rumble out. Otherwise, it just sounds like crap. Or a driver could wear earbuds, yes, but then you don't get the feedback from hearing the car. That's the problem. Where can you find a tire chewer in Canada? I don't know. Most companies will ship to Canada, right? Electric Dreams, I would think, would. What's the best site to buy slot car stuff? Well, I mean, obviously, you know, they support me. LEB Hobbies is a big supporter of me. So I always tell people to buy from LEB, Slot Car Corner for sure, Cloverleaf for sure. If you're in Quebec, okay, from in Quebec, Quebec City, wait. I'm assuming Quebec City, anywhere in Quebec. Go to Quebec City and go to Passatemps 3000. They're essentially right downtown. They're right near the whatever the highway is downtown. They carry a really good selection of mainly Carrera. They can buy. I think I was in the process of getting them set up as a dealer for Scalextric. Right when I got let go. So Quebec City, I would suggest Passatemps 3000. And Laval, I would suggest Jacques Hobby in Laval. They don't have a huge selection. Can I imagine all the drivers listening themselves on their earphones? Yeah, that would be cool. Need a Tesla slot car. Funny story. I contacted Tesla several times. I visited them at the auto show right the same year that the Ford GT, the modern Ford GT was released, and I talked with them, talked with Tesla. I had called Tesla many times, left many messages for licensing, for marketing, never got back to them. They never got back to us. Carrera desperately wanted to do a Tesla at the time, and I was pretty much thinking about flying to California and walking up to Tesla cold and trying to get a a meeting with anybody, because they never returned any of our fucking calls. It was very frustrating. BC, out in BC. There is only one or two in BC. The site. The site that I support, Tweet Musk. Yeah, right. Good luck with that. The site is LEB Hobbies. Hold on a second. High tech. We're doing this high tech here. LEB Hobbies.com. My atrocious penmanship. There you go. How horrible is this? lebhobbies.com. Pro streamer. So, Vancouver, BC slot cars. No problem. Okay. Vancouver slot Grand Prix. In Abbotsford, it looks like. Races to You. Burnaby Hobbies. Imperial Hobbies. That's what I would suggest. They all mention slot cars. Imperialhobbies.ca. I have no affiliation with any of these people. I've never been there. Eurorail. That's the one. Eurorail Hobbies. And where are they? Akugan? Jesus, I'm going to butcher this. Oh, Summerland, BC. Yeah. Summerland, BC. Eurorail Hobbies. They're on Main Street in Summerland, BC. Anyway. Jacques Hobby. Yeah, Scalextric. Yeah, Long Island. Not a lot on Long Island. Not a lot on Long Island. Yeah, there's not a lot on Long Island. It's expensive. It's Long Island. Yeah. No problem, Martin. You're welcome. Does Tesla have a livery? Oh, you mean if they were going to race? I don't know. Probably. Oh, I see a notification. Real estate is too high there. Yeah, it's expensive there. ProTinkerToys.com just uploaded a video. Go to YouTube and watch it now. No, don't leave. Sorry. Speaker infused controller. Again, the problem is the size of the speaker that you can get in a controller is still not very big. And that's the problem is, the speaker quality, the sound quality rather, is going to be really limited by the size of the speaker. It just is. So, you need a good sound system to hook up to a source unit to push out that sound. So, if you have a stereo or a sound bar, you can hook up to, via Bluetooth or something like that. That's probably the best way to get sound in a slot car system without a slot car company making their own speaker system. Because Jesus, that makes no damn sense whatsoever. Really, So why bother? Why not just make a can you say the name of the I'm in Pennsylvania, Raymond. So the place in BC that I mentioned is right here. Hopefully that is viewable. Eurorailhobbies.com, right? Eurorail Hobbies, yes. .com. Hopefully that was visible. Definitely a pro streamer here. Yeah, there it was. I saw it. Cool. Yeah, that's the place in BC. Why is it so hard to find R1 curves? No problem, Raymond. production, getting stuff. Track pieces are always kind of hard, for some reason to get to get made. You don't want a lot of tracks sitting around. We're kind of past the point in the year when most track sales happen. So probably they don't want to have a lot of tracks sitting around throughout the year, because we're getting into the warmer time of year and we don't have as much of a pandemic this year as we did last year, right? So track would mostly sit if it were made now, and then if it were produced now, and then most of it would just kind of sit around on shelves. Stuck in the Suez. Yeah, you never know. No, see, we get it the other way. We get ours through Panama. not through the Suez, because it comes from China, not from the other way. If it were in Europe, yes, it would come through the Suez. But here in the U.S., we get it actually on the West Coast directly through Port of Tacoma is where they import Scalextric, because Scalextric US is in Tacoma. So they bring it into Tacoma or Seattle, wherever it is. It's all basically in the same area. On the West Coast. On the East Coast, it's got to come through the Panama Canal. So, nice joke, though. I like that. See what you did there. Yeah, it's always sound in slot cars has always been a kind of an interesting discussion about whether companies really want to do sound. I think they should. I think it should be explored a little more, but I think it should be maybe part of an app, which is what companies have done, I think. But I think there's a way to, and I suggested this to Scalextric, to do like a DLC, like a downloadable content package that you'd pay extra for to an app, and that way you can make more money with the app. So it's like micro purchases, which is what I had suggested to Scalextric, is a way to make money with their app. I think they got to think about ways to make more regular, smaller purchases. They call them micro purchases in the gaming field, in the gaming world. Like, I play World of Tanks, and that's all about micro purchases. It's a free to play game, and you pay for progression. It's not a pay to win. You pay for progression, and you pay for certain kinds of content, but it doesn't add anything. It's just a cosmetic thing that you can add to the game. And I think Scalextric should do that with their app, and I think everyone that makes an app should do that. So do I recommend slotted chips over Scalextric digital chips? So I like the fact that slotted chips are Scalextric Cold War. Yeah, right. I like the fact that Scalextric has a DPR that is not a system based on wires, but a system based on a plug. So if you plug in a chip, you can unplug it and put it in another car. I like that. And I think that was that's a great idea. Rather than have wires come off of the chip, because wires are pretty fragile, and then you got to do like micro soldering if the wires break off of your chip. So I like the idea of DPR. So that it carries more amps. Yeah, I mean, amperage is always going to be a concern, especially with aftermarket motors. The standard motors that Scalextric and Carrera makes are very low amperage. And that's great. That's really ideal, is low amp draw motors. You don't have to worry about damaging a car with or a chip rather, if you have a really low amp draw motor. And it makes more sense to have that kind of a chip. It's that kind of a system with a really low amp draw motor. So in that way, it's probably the slotted, I think, definitely would be able to handle more power. But again, there's a little more. They have a more plug and play option now in their cars. I don't have one of their cars open here, but in their cars now they have the new quick disconnect thing, which I think is a fantastic idea. So you can plug in a chip more easily now, and rather than solder it in, because people really don't want to solder. That's really something that the industry has to work out. Like, it has to be very plug and play. Digital systems. Hey Art, how you doing? Systems have to really be very plug and play, and if they're not, then you really run into a lot less people wanting to buy a system because it's not plug and play. Digital systems, they really have to be plug and play. They really do. So, I mean, that's my opinion. Fly sound system had little impact about 8 years ago. Yeah, Fly tried it, and I think they might have had some problems with wires being damaged. I didn't pick up one of the cars. I didn't mean buy. I didn't buy one of the cars. Um, I know that I've seen them and I've heard them, and it didn't really sound that great. Um, because again, to make a car sound, there's a lot of frequencies that a car makes, and it's what you would call a car's sound. It's not just one frequency, right? So there are high pitch noise, and there's mostly low pitch noise, right? And like I've said before, a little bit ago, you really have to have a big speaker and multiple speakers to have a true reproduction of what a car really sounds like. Otherwise, it sounds strange. So if you have this little tiny speaker in a car and you're trying to reproduce all of that sound, it's not going to sound, like it should. It might sound okay, but it's not going to sound as good as it could, and it's not going to represent what a car really sounds like. That's really the problem. And then you get the issue with the extra weight you add to a car with a speaker inside, and then if something gets damaged, you wreck, the car tumbles, and the speaker comes loose, and then God forbid something pokes a hole through the cone of the speaker. So that's really the issue. Fly sounded like noisy fly years. Yeah, I mean, it's sound has been tried, and I think the best way that they could do it is do it as an aftermarket thing, or a plug-in for an app, or a plug-in an interface on a track connection piece, or an interface via an app through to like a soundbar, or to a speaker system, or a radio, or whatever. I think that's really the best. So it's an aftermarket or a third party way of interfacing. I think that would be probably the best way to do it. That's my own personal opinion. Take that for what it's worth, which it's worth very little. Put the engine glow onto a motor pod. Yeah, that's cool. Having a light in the back, like on a Formula One car. So having a light back here on a Polycar car would be cool. The problem is, the size of the space available, which is small, and then getting wires back there, it's difficult, and it's very fragile. And you're trying to keep the cost down as much as possible on a car, because when you add in Drift uses your phone for sound. Yeah. So, but a speaker on a phone is also very small. So, but it's probably a Bluetooth connection. So, being able to connect. Yeah, a lot of people have tried it. The light. Yes, a lot. They have it on the back. Yeah, it's great. I think it's a great idea. Fiber optic. But yeah, you're right. And that could be a way of doing it. But again, you have to get that wire back there. You have to mount it somehow. But you're right. Fiber optic would be a great way at not having an LED and then it's just a wire. I think it'd be a fantastic. I think it's a fantastic. That's a fantastic idea. I'm gonna patent that idea right after this. No. In your opinion, what's the best way to go as far as track to start a club? Um, what's the best way to go? What brand, right? Personally, I would suggest Carrera or Polycar because it's hard plastic track and the track's going to go together and stay together very well. I think uh, it's the smoothest, widest track you can get, which is what you want. Um, so I think that's a great way to go. Either of those, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. I mean, you can't go wrong with any of them. Personally, if I were starting from nothing, it would be Polycar. I like the high grip of it. I like the fact that the track was just made. All of the molds for that track were just made recently. Maurizio just tooled up all of those track molds fairly recently to make the track pieces. So that's really going to be your best bet for longevity because everyone else's molds are much older, right? So Carrera's molds are very old by now, and Scalextric molds. Well, what does that mean, Dave? It's just a track piece, right? Well, but a mold has a life, and the older molds, if you're talking about tolerances between the butt ends of track, those tolerances are not going to be as good the older the mold is. Now, obviously, um, that track, they're talking about a degree of difference. So I see the guys talking about LED, yeah, lights. Yeah, yeah. Um, Carrera did that, or Scalextric did that years ago. Um, I think it would be cool if they did it again. I know a little plug for a guy that maybe a lot of people. Do you have the Chevy Corvette from Scalextric? You mean the C6 they did? Yes, I have one of those. They never did a C. We never did a C7. They're gonna do the C8. I don't have that car. They haven't released it yet. Um, if there's a shout, I'm gonna do a shout out to a guy that I just started following. He's a great guy. He's an Aussie. Um, that slot car guy. He and I are gonna talk sometime soon about we're gonna do a live stream Zoom call kind of a thing, I guess, or I'm gonna do a Zoom call with him and then upload it. Um, he's really into older Scalextric stuff. So here on YouTube, if you haven't found him yet, um, he's that slot car guy on YouTube. I would highly recommend everyone following him. He just did a review this morning of Formula One and Formula Two cars, Ferrari and F1 and an F2 car, and on the back they have that turbo. Um, yeah, yeah, he's got great. Yeah, he's got a really cool collection. Um, yeah, he's a great car, great YouTuber. Um, what F1 would I recommend? So the Polycar, the monoposto cars, the wing comes off very easily on the back and the front, so it won't get damaged. On the NSR cars, um, I have one, but I haven't really raced it yet, and I think I'm not sure about the front end winglets. They look pretty fragile. I'm not exactly sure. Those are great cars. You can't go wrong with either of those two. Um, Scalextric is making kind of the generic F1, so I mean, those are cheaper. They make the start cars, which I had a couple of. Still have a couple of. I mean, those are cool. Those are really cheap. They're like 20-ish bucks. You can't really go wrong with those, and you can paint them, and they're available in a couple different colors. They're blister pack cars. I would suggest that because they're super cheap. Like less than $40. You're fragile on the NSR. Yeah, I mean, just like in real life, just like in slot cars. Formula One cars are fragile. They're all fragile. What are you going to do? They're Formula One. It's all fragile, right? Um, but yes, they have a nice removable wing. Um, so which one to let you change the gears? Talking of F1, I mean NSR you can change the gears and them. You can change the gears in the Polycar cars as well. Go with either of those two. Whichever one you can get, whichever one you like. Um, I would go with either of those. They're both good quality from excellent companies. Both the companies are worth supporting because they're hobbyist companies or smaller companies. Um, supporting NSR I think is great. Supporting Polycar I think is great. I know Maurizio. I met Salvatore years ago, but Salvatore passed away. I haven't met his son, who I think is now running the company now. But he seems like a good guy, and yeah, I wouldn't have any problem suggesting either of those two companies for a company to get to do replaceable parts on the inside. Absolutely not. It's good stuff. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm sitting back a little bit further. Just want to make sure you can hear me okay still. I need to get a mic. This is just my phone, so it's a little questionable. I know. The sound quality is not great. Um, cool. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Cheers, guys. Thanks a lot. What's the difference between motor in the middle and the motor? Oh, like difference between inline and like sidewinder. It's just all the balance of the car. So like this, I keep going back to this Polycar. So this is an inline, obviously. It's going to have different balance characteristics than a sidewinder would or an angle winder would. Do I see Polycar doing digital track? Absolutely, 100%. They will be making lane changes. Absolutely. Yeah, Crit. Thanks for stopping by. I really do appreciate it, guys. I mean, no bullshit. You know, I didn't think anyone would show up because I don't know, whatever. um, yeah. So absolutely, if you're thinking about Polycar, and you're concerned about whether they don't have digital, yeah. I mean. Uh, you can chip it if you have. Yeah, absolutely. You can chip the. So inline versus sidewinder, there's different balance characteristics. So a sidewinder is going to kind of lift the nose because it's going to try to be pulling the car kind of back, but it's not going to rock kind of from side to side, which I showed in a previous video. People got all over me. They said, "Well, it's different forces. You're just changing them from side to side to back or whatever angle winder." It's like it's all going to be there's different forces. Why wouldn't we come? I don't know. I wouldn't. I didn't think anybody would. I don't know. Whatever. I really appreciate the people stopping by. um, so it's just going to be different, and it's the balance that you like, right? So if you like a sidewinder, and you really hate angle winder, um, or you really hate inline, and it's what you like, guys. That's the key. Um, I probably will gearhead. I will do this more than once a month. I probably will make this a regular thing when I have the time. I'll probably I can't commit to doing it every week because I have yet another part-time job now. I have a full-time job. I work for the local newspaper doing marketing, which means I'm doing video and some photos. I'm digital marketing manager for the local newspaper, and I'm also actually, it's like a chain. So they own a chain, and it's all under one management team. So it's two newspapers that I'm digital marketing manager for, and a magazine that I'm also And I also am a photographer for the magazine. It's a monthly or a quarterly magazine. Um, yeah, Ray. I may do it on Sundays too. I may do one tomorrow. No, I can't do one tomorrow. I have an assignment tomorrow. I'm working tomorrow again. Um, so so I do that, Monday through Friday, and then I have some weekend assignments for the paper. Like tomorrow, I'm working Sunday as well to do it's like a COVID remembrance kind of a thing, to remember local people that have passed away, which I'm all for. I think there should be a national holiday. I'd started anyway. I don't want to get off that onto that topic because people get wound up about that topic. So please let's stay off of that. Um, so I'm doing assignments on the weekends for the newspaper. Plus, I do a little bit of work for Polycar and Slot It. I manage their Instagram, and I help manage their Facebook pages, both of their Facebook pages, one for Polycar and one for Slot It. I'm not the only one that posts there, but I do most of the posting there. And then I post for LEB Hobbies, which folks know they sponsor my news. And Lynn sends me a lot of samples that I am eternally grateful to her. Um, I post on her Instagram, and I'm the only one that posts there, and I'm the only one that posts on her Facebook page. So I do a few hours a week for each of them, a little more for Lynn. Yeah, I love LEB. I love Lynn is great, and Robert is great. I've known them for years, for more than 10 years, for working for different companies. So I've known them for quite a long time, and it's nice to be able to work with people that you really like. Um, back. so yeah, and I got another job this week. I got it's not really a job. Well, yeah, it is. I'm going to be the team photographer for the local. New Cumberland, cool. I'm going to be the team photographer for a local minor league baseball team. I was hired to do most of their home season, and so I'm going to start shooting their home games now as the team photographer. So, and I'm really thrilled because I've been shooting full time and part time. That was my first career. I was a professional news photographer of sports for about 15 or so years. Pro Tinker Slot Fest in July. Oh, I hadn't heard about that. Um, yeah, I mean, if I could go, I will. I don't think I probably could though, because it's kind of a drive for me. It's 8 hours for me to where Brian lives. He lives in Wayne, Ohio. I've stayed with Brian a lot. Stayed at his house. Brian's a good guy. I like Brian. He's fun. He's a little crazy, but he and I have I mean, he's a lot of fun. Um, anyway, so yeah, so I have this other part time job now. So I'm going to be doing a bunch of games for them. So it's kind of like I have my full time job, which is like a 8:30 to 4:30 kind of a job, and then this job I'm going to be doing a bunch of games for the team, and then I have something else I'm working on that I really can't talk about yet. Another slot. I shouldn't talk about it, so I'm not gonna. Um, Cheers, John. Thank you very much. Uh, July 31st. Oh yeah. I probably Black Friday warehouse. Yeah, I know he's from Ohio. I've been to his house a bunch. Brian's a great guy. We worked together for years, and I've seen him at trade shows over the years, and I mean, yeah, he's a great guy. We're very different people in many ways, but yeah, he's fun. Um, yeah, so I don't really. So I want to make sure that this stream. I just figured I'd try it, and I didn't know if anyone would show up. And I know I've said before, this quality is not great. The video quality is not awesome, which kind of bugs me. But anyway, I figured I'd try it, and now that I see that folks will show up, Oh, you live in Ohio too? Awesome. Um, yeah, now that I should see the people show up, I'll do something pretty regularly, and I'll announce it probably in my Friday video or in a post on YouTube. I'll say I'm gonna do a stream, and yeah, I'll make it a regular thing. Probably try to do one weekly because it's a lot of fun, and I get to answer questions because it's sometimes I'm not really sure where. Okay, yeah, I appreciate it, Matt. I know, but it bugs me because I'm a photographer, so I like to I like to have things look as good as I possibly can. Anyway, it's a live stream, so um, yeah, I hadn't heard about him having Brian having a slot fest. That's cool. He's got his shed is epic. He's got more slot stuff than I do, which is saying something. He's got a lot of stuff. Um, so anyway, catch up on my videos. Hope you get around to doing it again. Thank you very much to Fingers. Thank you for showing up. I really appreciate it. And you go good with a cup of coffee. Yeah. Yeah. Brian has a, yeah, no, I know Brian has a store. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because I actually helped him get set up when I was with Scalextric as a dealer for Scalextric. Um, can you get parts for the SCX WAS system? You mean like in general? I mean, Brian sells a lot of stuff. Um, I enjoyed your live stream, but I got to sleep in 1:30 a.m. No, Mock. Your English is your English is perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for showing up. I really appreciate. I mean, seriously, I really appreciate it, guys. Um, Wasp parts. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's it. I guess they stopped making that system, right? And now it's the advanced system. Advanced is based on an app, not necessarily like external displays. I like those external displays. Um, I wish they would have kept that, frankly. I think slot cars are digital chips for the WAS. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry. Um, I do have connection with SCX. I know the owner, and I do email with him. Advanced have external displays when? Yeah, I don't know, man. I do know. Okay, so I do know. I've talked with SCX pretty regularly, right? Recently, and they are. Thank you very much, Black Friday Warehouse. Cheers, man. David, cheers. Thank you very much, David, for stopping by. Um, I do know that SCX. They are now they're being made by the family, right? So the Arnow family, the owners of the brand SCX is the Arnow family. Arnau. So um keep that thought in mind, Ron. Just hold that thought right there. So the Arnow family owns the brand, and they would license the brand to other companies. So when I worked for SCX, I worked for the company which was Technotoys, right? And they made the brand SCX. SCX is the brand, and then the company that makes that brand is really the company. Okay, so that's how you have to think about this. So then Aduca made the brand SCX using the same molds, and they would market those cars. They would sell those cars as SCX. Then they kind of shut down, and there was somebody else that made them for a little bit, right? Um, so so now the family, the Arnow family itself, for the first time ever, is making SCX, right? So this company that you think of as we all think of as SCX is not the same people that have been making SCX until now, until right now. They just started making SCX. The family did under their own, company recently. Now, I never worked for them. Brian never worked for them. That's a brand new company, just with that same brand. So yes, it's the same molds. Yes, it's the same brand. It is a different company. It's different managers. It's different product people. It's maybe different production area. In China, it's a different mentality. Um, yes, Luis Arnau is still because he was with all of those other companies. Like as a consultant, he would be part of the team that would make the cars with the SCX brand. But now his family itself is actually making this. Okay, so SCX is completely different than it ever has been, right? So you kind of have to think about it differently. Okay, and I know this maybe sounds like it's splitting a hair, but this is truly a different thing than has ever been made. So just because they have the same name, it's not the same company. Okay? I hope that makes sense. Um, so the Arnau family is now making their own cars, their own SCX stuff, right? With a whole different team. So they're going very slowly making new products because they want to make something that they think works. They want to roll out new because they don't have any distribution here in the US yet. Yet. Um, they don't have as much distribution worldwide as they need to. They have okay distribution, I guess. I don't really know the situation in Spain. So, they. Hey, all the best from Tennessee. Thank you very much. I love Tennessee. Tennessee whiskey. Oh, yeah. There's a lot more to Tennessee than the whiskey, but yeah. Thanks for showing up. So, the Arnau family is now making SCX stuff, right? So, they are going very slowly. I talked with Luis about this through email. Luis Arnau, the owner, through email, and he explained to me that they're going to be very conservative, which is not a lot of fun if you're a hobbyist, right? You want all the stuff, you want all the fun, you want it all, right now. Cheers, Eduardo. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm going to go soon. I'll probably stream for about another 15 minutes, and I'm probably going to sign off then because I need lunch too because got to keep my girlish figure here. So, this is they're really starting slow, releasing new stuff. So you gotta have very, kind of, you can't expect the world from these folks. You can't expect, 40 new cars a year. You can't expect a whole series of products yet. They're going very slowly, kind of fleshing out the lines. Cheers, Raymond. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So, you have to expect that they really, they have to be they're going to be very conservative. Okay. So, yes, they probably will release more products, but you can't expect them to, release them all right now. Hey, Area 51, cheers. Thank you for, stopping by. I very much appreciate it. So, you just have to have very conservative expectations for them, okay? I expect they'll ramp up production. They'll have more products. They'll have more availability. Certainly here in North America, I'm sure they will. 100%. Yes, exactly, Matt. Exactly. They're not going crazy with releasing too much stuff. It's not fun to hear, oh, yeah, we're not going to get, 30 new cars this year. We're not going to get new NASCAR. We're not going to get this and that. You have to really build up a base slowly. And you really have to be very conservative about it. You just do. I think you will have, yeah, me too, Ron. I think you will have great stuff from them. I mean, their stuff has always been good, but we maybe haven't had the consistency that we needed. But I really do think they'll get there. I think there's definitely an opportunity now for them to get back in the market. Um, and I just, I'm gonna be getting samples from them. I'm gonna ask for an advanced set. I'm gonna try to get some more cars from them. They sent me a bunch of new cars. Last year when I got all the CUDA samples, all the prototype samples, that's when I got all of those, the five newest cars that they made. That's when they sent me all those samples. They sent me 10 total cars that in that shipment. The five five different CUDA colors, and then the other production cars. So I'm going to ask for an advanced set and any accessories for that, and because I really like their universal track. That's nice wide gray track. It is soft plastic track, but it's good stuff. Yeah, I think we'll definitely get good stuff from them, but I think it's definitely going to take time. I really do, and we have to just be patient. Your WASP pit lane doesn't. Yeah, and then they have the new pit lane, right? That does work with the advance. Yeah, Murray. I really appreciate it. Am I Canadian? No, 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 no. I'm not Canadian, eh? No, I'm American. I was born in New York City, and I live in central Pennsylvania. And I've moved around a lot. I've moved more than 30 times, and yeah, and I live in a pretty rural part of Pennsylvania, the middle of the state. I'm sort of near. I'm 2 hours south of Watkins Glen, and about an hour and a half south of the Glen, and I'm an hour west of Pocono. So I'm kind of like in the. If Pennsylvania is like a rectangle, I'm almost exactly in the middle of it, kind of north of the middle of it. Anyway, yeah, no, I'm not Canadian. I'm American. Yeah, so you can get the Advance. Oh no, see, I've traveled to Canada a lot. I'm a big fan of Canada. My wife's family is actually French Canadian. They're from the Gaspé. Their Vibert is her family name. She has a lot of family in New Brunswick, up in that, or on the Gaspé. Pennsylvania Boca, yeah, man. Yeah, so you can upgrade, you can change the system from what I understand. So most of it will be compatible then. I mean, I guess I got rid of pretty much. Oh, you have a cabin on the paw pack. Oh, fantastic! Yeah, it's beautiful up there. It is. It is beautiful. York is just down the road. Yeah. Hey, Ken. Hey, man. Yeah, yeah. Just down the road from exactly. Just up the road. I'm north. Yeah, but down the road. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think we just have to have kind of reasonable expectations for what SCX will do. We will see more from them. Yeah, we will see more from them. Thank you very much, Pinas Levon. I butchered that. I'm very sorry. Thank you for stopping by, everybody. Yeah, so best model train shows in the world or in New York. Yeah, I've been to. They had a model, the train show, and we had done like a show there with. There's a retailer in that Ken knows, because I met Ken. If I'm remembering right, there's a retailer there that we had worked with, who had a like an expo there, and I had done that, I guess, 2 or 3 years when I worked with Carrera, and that was great. It was an easy drive for me because it's right down the road. It's a little over probably an hour and a half away. Yeah, no problem, Mark. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna have more news from SCX. They're going to be supplying me with more news, hopefully soon, and I will be getting I'm going to ask. I can't assume that I'll be getting an advance track, but I think they'll send me one. Yeah. Yep, Ken, you're right. You guys set up all the tracks, absolutely. You had a really great demo tracks put up, and then the dealer had a bunch of sets. That the last time I was there, I had a really good day. I think I sold. He had about 16 sets, I think, that he brought, and I sold 12 of them that day. I think that was a good day. It was a lot of fun. I like demos. They're great. You get to talk to people and they tell you what you're doing right and definitely what you're doing wrong. It's awesome to have people tell you what you're doing wrong, frankly, because, otherwise you might not know. Anyway, I think I'm going to sign off here, guys, because I'm going to grab some lunch. I'm a little hungry. I do really appreciate everybody stopping by. It really does mean quite a bit. This wasn't sponsored by anybody. If you want to leave me a tip on my buy me a coffee, yeah, it's been a while. I've been chatting up here. I finished all my last of the coffee in the Polish racing drivers. Thank you all very much for stopping by. If you want to leave me a tip through my buy me a coffee, the link will be it's in a lot of my videos here, or it's on the it's buymeacoffee.com/slotcarnews. I really appreciate it, folks. I mean, my first live stream, what the hell? All these people showed up. Good God, very cool. Thanks very much. See you all again soon. See you next Friday for sure. I appreciate it.